Hello everyone, welcome to Firearm Fury. Today we've got an Athlon Talos that I'm going to be reviewing. Now if you haven't watched the scope giveaway video, go ahead and watch that. I'll have a link up above and a link in the description below. I am giving away this scope and you'll need to watch that video to know what you need to do in order to qualify for the giveaway. I'll have the specs to this scope on the screen. Go ahead and pause if you'd like some time to look at it. So the Athlon Talos. Now Athlon's a relatively new brand in the optics market. The price of this scope ranges from about $150 to $200. I feel like the clarity is pretty good on this. It would be hard to beat this clarity for this price. The eye relief is pretty good as well. It would be difficult to get better eye relief for this price. This is a low power variable optic scope, 1-4x24, has a 30mm tube, has an illuminated reticle, and it is in mils. Now as far as the reticle goes, I'll have a picture of it on the screen here. I actually do like this reticle. It is second focal plane, but I like this reticle. It's not too thick, it's pretty thin, which I really like. It doesn't block out your target or anything. You have adjustments for wind and for elevation if you choose to use those markings. Now I'll go ahead and take a look at these turrets. These turrets are pretty dang good for the price of this optic. Again, it's a mil, it's 0.2 or 1/5 mil per click at 100 yards. There is very little play in these turrets, very crisp. You can hear it click, you can feel it adjust. Great turret, especially for a $150 scope. The windage turret is exactly the same as I said before. They're not capped. Now you can see the line there to know what number you're on. There are no horizontal lines to tell how many revolutions of the turret you have made, but there is a zero stop system. Now you can take this cap off by unscrewing this screw here, popping the cap off. It's a little tight because there are O-rings which seal it. Put it to zero, pop it back on, and you've zeroed your scope. And there are 12 mils per revolution of the turret.
Alright, here we go. Tracking test with the Athlon. Second shot after it's been sighted in. So we'll start in the top left corner. I'll go up at one click is 1/5 mil. So I'll go up 1 mil up. So I'll be at 4.2, and I will go 1 mil left, which will put me at 10.8. Okay, now we'll go to the top right corner. So I'm going to go back to the right 1 mil, and then I'll go an additional mil, which should take me over to the right side. Now I'll go to the bottom right corner. I'm going to move it down 1 MOA, so I'm at 3.2. And that'll take me to where it should be centered. The elevation should be right. And I'm going to go down another mil, so I'll be at 2.2. Should be the bottom left. Sorry, should be the bottom right corner. Now move it over to the bottom left corner. So we'll go 1 mil left to get us back to center horizontally for windage. And then we'll go left another mil, which will take us to the bottom left corner. Now we'll go back to center. So I will go up 1 mil, 3.2, and I will go to the right 1 mil, which puts us at 12, which puts us at 11.8. So this should be centered where the first ones hit.
Alright, so let's go over the results of the tracking test. First of all, I'm not an expert in mils, so I did some calculations. 1 mil is equal to 3.38 MOA at 100 yards. This tracking test was performed at 50 yards, so that would cut the 3.38 in half, which would be 1.69 mils. And now, as you can see here in the top left corner, windage was about 2.25 inches from center. Elevation was about 2.5 inches high of center. We moved to the top left, which was about 2 inches right of center. There were 2 shots, they were about 1 inch apart. Not really sure if that was me, the ammunition, what it was, probably me. Anyway, we had about a 1 inch spread. You average them out. The windage was about 2 inches away from center, and the elevation was about 2.5 inches high. Move to the bottom left corner. For windage, we were about 2.25 inches off of center, and for elevation, this was kind of a weird one. We were only 1.5 inches low. Move to the bottom right. We were about 1.75 inch to 2 inches off from center for windage. Elevation, we were about 2 inches low. Now the important thing, in my opinion, going back to center, we were pretty much right on top of our first 0 shots. So that was great. So looking at these tracking numbers a little more closely, if you look at the windage was actually really consistent. The furthest spread was 3/4 to 1/2 inch, which compared to the other scopes I've tested in this price range, look down below for a link to these videos. It blew them away. And then as far as the elevation was doing really great until we had that one group, which wasn't so great. That ended up making the spread 1 inch, which isn't horrible compared to the other scopes, on par with elevation or maybe a little worse than one scope. But it was really just that one that was, a little stray. I find it hard to believe, that all of the tracking would be fine, and except for that one little group. So I would like to put this on a 223 or another gun that would be able to put shots more on top of each other at that range and see how it does. See if it was just me or if it was the gun or something. Try to eliminate as many possible variables as I can to truly see how that scope does tracking elevation. That being said, it did pretty good. The turrets are great, especially for that price point. The clarity, it's good. It's good quality. There's just no other way to say it. It's good quality even for that low price. Compared to all the other scopes that I have tested in this rough price range, it's on par or the best. Eye relief is great. You can't ask for much more. I know it's a low power variable optic, which those generally have pretty good eye relief. And testing this scope's eye relief with others, again, on par or beats slightly all the other scopes that I've tested. And then, just the tracking. The main thing for me for tracking, well, there's two main things. One, I need it to return back to zero. And if you go out to shoot some long range, you're using the turret to track elevation, and then you turn it back to zero, and if it's slightly off, that's not going to work, and it could magnify every time you use the turret to track elevation. It could be off, and it could be off a little bit more and a little bit more. I'm not saying that it would, but I want it to return to exactly zero or as close to exactly as it can. And then my other thing is I want the turrets to track consistently. So anyway, I'd say for this budget scope, it's pretty good. We did have that one little hiccup in tracking elevation. Other than that, everything was pretty consistent, at least as consistent as I would expect for this low of a price of a scope. So out of all the scopes I've tested, I would recommend this one for all the reasons mentioned previously. Anyways, guys, if you have this scope, have any additional comments to share, please go ahead and share those. I'd love to look at those. I'm sure, as well as many others looking to get a budget low power variable optic. If you like this video, please smash that thumbs up button and stay tuned to Firearm Fury.